Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again for the second session of That's How I Roll, channel dedicated to solo role playing. So this is our second part of session 0. The first one we did was on building the world, and so what we did, and we used the ShadowDark rule book just to build the world. And so as last episode, I filled in the world. I took a hex map that I had. It has 19 spots. I went, filled them in, rolled them up, got all my spots. I went back and color coded it so I can see it a lot better with when I just look at the map. I also rolled up, my starting hex. In the middle is my town of Ironbridge, and that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to do how to build your settlement. But if you go back, look at the last one, and that will tell you what we did, how we built this world, and filled it with different terrain, the different points of interest, so that we have a place to start a world. So the second part we're going to do is building your settlement. And so building your settlement, and tonight, that just depends on how I can do this thing, but tonight we're going to build a settlement. We're going to go to page 134, 135 in our rule book. And I rolled last time when I rolled a town. And so we know that the settlement type will be a town. And on page 134, the first section here, it tells us, so we have a town, and we know that the settlement is called Ironbridge. And we got that also by rolling. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build a town based upon how Kelsey has detailed it here in the book. And what I'm going to do is, like, again, talked to you last time about, I love hex maps to do everything that I do. When it comes to solo, it's just so much easier, especially when we get to the adventure making part, which will be down probably next episode 4. We're going to get the adventure making. And I'll show you why I do hex maps and how that all stuff works. But anyway, here it says when you're doing a town, you get 44. And so what you do is you get your 44, and you roll it onto your piece of paper, and then you draw an outline around where the dice fell to determine the settlement shape. And then you note the position and the number of each dice to determine what district is in that location. Separate the districts by rough lines or shapes to create main streets. The settlement seat of government is located in the district with the highest roll. Each district has 1d4 main points of interest. And then you roll an alignment for the overall settlement or for each district. Treat chaotic settlements and districts as risky when checking for random encounters. And then, so what I'm going to do is, so what you're going to do is when you roll a d4, and you just let them fall on your map. And so I'm going to spread it out just a little bit because I wish I had a better roll. So I'm going to go just to spread it out. And so what I do is then I will mark the outside of the hex that it landed in. Okay, because I'm going to go around and kind of fill up this area when I'm ready to make my map. So once you roll on the dice, it will tell you, it has the number on it, and what that will tell you is what in each district. And so basically the way this works is that if you have a village, you're only going to roll 3d4, and that means that you can only have districts up to number 4. You're going to have a slum, a low district, an artisan district, or a market, depending on what you roll. And as you see, a town is 44, and a city is 66. So when you roll for a city and it's 66, you'll have up to 6 districts that you possibly can have. And then if you have a metropolis, that's when you can add all 8 of them, and have a university district and a castle district. So let me show you how this works. So I roll my d4s, and I'm just going to pick each one up, and I'll show you what they are. So the first one here is a 2. I rolled a 2. I know it's hard to see with the camera, but just trust me. I rolled a 2 here. So that means this is a low district. So what I do is I take and I write low district in this spot. Okay. And then Over here, I just write low district, and I'll come back to it once I to fill in my points of interest. Now, next one was a 4, so this is going to be my market. And also, one of the things in the rule book is the district that has the highest roll is going to be the settlement seat of government is located in the district with the highest roll. And as you'll see here on my little detailed chart that I made, I do have a place for government. Now, I do leave this along. I will write beside here that I know it takes place in market. So I don't know how the government of this place is now, because what I want to do is I want to see what pops up when I roll my points of interest. And so it will give me certain ideas, you know. I mean, we're living, you know, most of this is medieval fantasy type thing, so it's probably going to be a guild or a lord or a merchant, however you want it. But I definitely do have a government once I get started. I mean, once I get rolling, I will flesh out my government. And the reason I want to do that is so it will give my NPCs more gravitas. It'll give my NPCs, it'll give me ideas for adventuring later on inside my town, like what factions are in there, what factions might hire my party. Could there be, because if I want my settlement to be like a living, breathing town going on, I want it to start, as I move in my adventures, I want to start seeing my city change. So I want to see what type of government is, and then what happens over time, because maybe as my characters grow up and they get into levels, they get more powerful. Maybe this is a city. If I stay just in this area, maybe it's an area that they become where they become lords and stuff like that, because the book does have titles, and we'll talk about that with characters. But you can use your titles for your characters as you move up in level, and that still adds more story flavor. It's just soloing. That's what makes this book so great. It's got so much stuff in here. So my next district here is a artisan district. So this is artisan. And then this is a 3 as well. So this is an artisan district. Okay? And so each one of these, so we note the position and the number of each dice to determine what the district is in that location. And then when you go to, so then I go, so I did that and I marked my, and so what I'm going to do is I have my district separated. I haven't drawn my map, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you again why I use hex in a minute, but once I get the map drawn. But so what I'm going to do is go to each one of these. So I have market, and then I have an artisan district, and I have another artisan district. So just by seeing that 2 artisan districts, a market, and a low district, it's also it's already telling me that there's somewhat of the economy that's going on around here. So what you do is you go to each district. So I go to my low district, and it's going to have 1d4 main points of interest. So I just get a 4-sided dice, and you know what? I'm going to get this one that way y'all can see what my roll is, because these 4-sided. Oh, where is my 4-sided? Yep. I'm just go ahead and roll these because I thought I had one that you can see the roll. But let's go ahead and roll. So it's 3. So there's going to be 3 areas of interest in my low district. So all you do is you go to the low district table here. You get your D6. 3, I have a poor tavern. Another poor tavern. And then lastly, a 5, I have a standard shop. Okay, so that's my low district. And then I go to my market, and I do the same thing. I roll a D4 to see how many. It's a 3. So in my market district, I go right here to the market down here and roll a 5. I have an apothecary. A 2, a market is a rare and exotic goods. And then my last roll here is a 2, is another rare and goods. Now, if you want to roll, I mean, again, it's your game. So if you want to roll and have multiple shops, you know, if you say, oh, I rolled this, I want to roll another one because I don't want to have two of the same. That's up to you. I don't mind having two of the same. So, and then I'm gonna go to this artisan district, roll how many are in it. There's 4, which is nice. And as you see, I did leave just, because each district can only have 4 points of interest, I only did 4 on my detail sheet here that I created. So what's the first thing in my first artisan district? I rolled a 3, it's a modest temple. A 2, another modest temple. And a 5, a standard tavern. And then the last, I'm not going to have another modest temple because that would give me 3. So let's go with a 1, stocks and pillories, which is an odd choice to put in the book, stock and pillories, but I really enjoy it. It's really good for role playing. So then we'll do artisan again, and there's only 1 in this district. Roll, and it's a modest temple. Okay, so what I usually do is then I go back and I look at what I have here, and I fill in my hex map. So I know my low district has 3 points of interest. So what I'm going to do is I just outline at least 3 hexes that count as my low district on my town. Okay, and the reason, and then I'll do the same thing for each one. So the market has 3. Okay, and then my artisan district has 4. I'm gonna make that this one that has 4. And then this artisan district has just 1. And so once I mark these, and I know that's my different districts, because what I end up doing is I will connect all these to kind of build my town. Because here's the thing, once I get my town started, so this is an outline of my town. Once I get my town started, once I get Ironbridge going, I'm going to go back as I'm playing and as I'm building and going along. I'm going to go back and fill in these as well. So as the town kind of grows, because I want it to be, I don't want my town to be just small to start off with. All I need to get started is just a few points of interest so that I can have spots that I can have my players go to and get started out of. And then from those points of interest, as my campaign goes on or my adventures go on, I will come back and it gives me room to build out my town. And the reason that I do these as hexes is because I treat my town as a hex crawl. And because it's the same way I do my adventures. Everything I do, I treat as a hex crawl because it's just so much easier. So when I roll my alignment and it tells me, you put your alignment on your city and it tells you it's the same thing about deadly and risky, and it's about what kind of counters they can have as they move from each one, is that when they move into these areas, I can just roll on there and create an encounter. And so these are kind of like, you know, my street areas, and there will be some shops and stores and stuff in here as I go, but I just want to get something started, right? And so what I end up doing is I go in here and I write on each one of these, I put something in here, right? So I put, you know, a shop, and then my poor taverns, And you know, you can make it where there's more, if you want, technically, there's more things in here. There could be houses that surrounded it. There could be other shops. But what I want to do is just when I go into this area, I know that the main location that my player characters that I'm going to, if I'm doing it as a solo or if I'm doing it as a group, that this is a place that I can reference to them immediately. As they come into the area, hey, you see the port, you see the tavern, and this is a place that you would like to go to. And so then I put my modest temple. And then on my market, I have an apothecary. And I understand you could say, this one's a rare and exotic goods. And this one's rare and exotic goods. And I know you can go and you can get a map. You could draw your map and fill out every single house and village and town and whatever you want in it. But when you're just wanting to get started, you only need a couple places to get started. Just start small. Don't try to sit here and say, I have to develop this whole town. I need this whole, because unless you're going to do city adventures on a regular basis, you don't need a whole town. All you need is something that you can get started on. And then if you are in a town and they move from section to section, plus I can use these spots that every time they move here, I can use that as a random, just like when you roll for a random encounter or a random, I can just say, okay, they move in this hex is blank. I could roll on here, roll an encounter, use the, I can roll another district, I can roll another town, I can do whatever I want to add onto here, and I can just add it on there when I do this stuff. So sometimes I take them all and I group them together. Sometimes I put them apart like this, but this is how I do it. And so I have all my districts, and I have my poor taverns, my standard shops. My artisan district is two modest temples, a standard tavern, a stock and pillories, and then I have apothecary, rare, exotic, good places in my market, and then I have a modest temple in this other artisan district. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, before I leave this page, I want to go ahead and roll a d6 for the alignment of the city so it's a 4, it's a neutral alignment city. And all that's going to tell me is, to me, I'm already looking at it as it's a neutral city. It's either that's going to tell me the gods there, and so it can tell me that there's a good balance between good and maybe, the evil gods, or is it about that most of the ones that I worship are the neutral, more balanced? But it does tell me something about the town, so that when I'm thinking about it, as I'm developing it, as I'm going, and when I'm as I'm going along in my adventures, and so here's the key to me is like, when I do this, I don't need a whole lot. That's the whole point. I just need some things to get started on. So once I get my city built, and I'll go back in and I'll take my pencils and I'll color it up, and I'll probably mark one of these so I can know just by color which is which. The next thing you want to do to finish your town is, so I have all these and I have my settlements, and like I said, this is going to be my campaign or adventure design kit is kind of what I call it. But I have my world, I have my Ironbridge, turn the page, I have my settlement as I'm developing it, and then I have, so on here, all I want to know is my points of interest and my NPCs. So next thing is to flesh out some of my points of interest. And in this book, the thing that it has for points of interest is it has taverns and it has to develop your shops, right? And so what I do is I turn the page and I have taverns and I have shops. The one thing I'm probably going to add to this that I haven't added yet is probably something to do with temples, because it has shops and it has taverns. But the reason I don't have it in my guide yet is because there's nothing in the book that helps me develop temples, right? It doesn't have any kind of charts and stuff. But what I will do is that each temple will have a main NPC who runs it. And so when I get, once I get all this developed, I develop my taverns, I roll up my shops, and then I roll up my NPCs. And we're going to probably do NPCs on my third one video, because I want to try to keep these things 15 to 20 minutes. I don't want to put too much on them, but because it's, you know, watching someone roll dice is probably boring. But let's get going and do the taverns and the shop. So once you have your settlement started, you're going to go to taverns. So I'll look over here and I'll look at what taverns I have. And I have 2 poor taverns in the low district. So right here I'll write low district. That's what for my taverns, I have district, tavern name, known for, food and drinks, and who the owner is. So these are the ones in the low district. And then I have a standard tavern that's in the artisan district. Okay, and so to roll your tavern, just get a d20 and roll it up. So the first thing is my tavern name. It's 5, the Demons. 16, Tankard. The Demons Tankard is the name of this one. What it's known for on my generator. 13, underground pit fighting. Well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Underground pit fighting. And I know if you're trying to look at my handwriting, it's messy, but it doesn't. I'm going to go back and to do this. I just know it's kind of probably boring watching someone roll and do these things, but I want to show the whole process. And then the food. So because it's a standard tavern. Sorry. A poor tavern, sorry, but because it's a poor tavern, it's roll 2 drinks, roll a d6 each, and food roll, you get 3 poor. So I will roll a d6 for my 2 drinks. 3 vinegary wine. 5 clear spirits. And then food. It's a d12. 6 hearty broth. Another 6, 7 meat pastry. And then cheese and bread. All right, so my next tavern, get my d20 here. 8, the Silver Dragon. What is it known for? 6, dancing contest. Very funny. In the food and drink, since it's a pour again, you roll a d6 for 2 drinks. A 4 and a 1, so it's Barnacle Grog. And a 6 is House Ale. And then the food is a d12. Should have got 3 of these. An 11 is a turkey leg. 2 dates and olives. And then the last one, 6, is a hearty broth. All right, my last tavern in the Artisan District, which is going to be a standard, is a standard tavern. So let's see what the name is. 16, the Blade, and a 12, the Blade and the Camel. The Blade and Camel. Interesting. What is it known for? 4 cult rituals in the basement. Cult rituals in the basement. I'm telling you, the generators are these are really amazing. And then for standard, it's going to be roll 3 drinks. They're 2d6 each. So it's a 5 clear spirits. A 2 watery swill. Watered swill. And last but not least, house ale. It's 1 pour and 1 standard. So you roll. I got on the pour, I got goat stew. And on the standard, I got a 7, which is frog legs. And a 10 is boar. Okay, so that's my taverns. So I'm going to write down the owner, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But so you have your tavern page. It gives you the flavor that you need for your adventuring party. It gives you what it's known for, which will give you ideas for the adventures, especially if you want to have urban adventures, or if those adventures somehow branch out to outside of your town. And then you have the food and drink. So anytime your party goes here, it will tell you, and they also have how much it costs 1d4, and you could put the price of it on there as well. And of course, it has the drinks and what they do. So it gives you, wherever they go throughout the city, it gives your adventuring party a tavern to visit, especially if you want to start it in a tavern, the old cliche. But anyway, those are my taverns. So then I go over here and I need to develop my shops. So the next page that I turn to will be shops. And then we'll look to see what I have. I have in my low district, I have a standard shop. So I have to write here, low district. And so I'm going to have to mark these low district 1 and low district 2. And what I'll end up doing later on is the fact that I will probably rename them as I get my city going. Like each neighborhood will have a specific name, but I don't have to do that right now. Right now it's just low district 1 and low district 2. Low district 1 and 2. There's only one low district. So in low district 1, here I have a standard shop. So here I roll a d10. And I rolled an 8, and that tells me that my standard shop is a stonemason. The shop generator name is a D20, which is a 2. It's Imperial, and a 13 coins. What it's known for, 8 heavily armed bodyguards, which makes sense. I don't know why it's coined as stonemason, but we'll see. Heavy bodyguards. We'll get the owner in just a little bit, but then I always like to add an interesting, because we have this interesting customer chart. So I'll roll a d4, which is a 1, and then the other one will go across. So it has 1, and then down 3, it has an interesting customer is a goblin pirate. Okay. And flip back, see what else that I have in the shop districts. I have 2 modest temples. I have apothecary. I know what that does. And I have a rare and exotic goods. So they do not have a chart for the rare and exotic goods, which is fine. I can flesh that out later. So, but this is what I have here. Is it just goes ahead and tells me that I have I built my town with my different districts. I left areas to grow on, but these are my main districts to go. And I also, like I said, I want to have empty ones so they go from one to the other, that I can have a place that I can make an encounter roll. And then, because usually, you know, you can say, well, you're just traveling the streets from the low district to the marketplace. And as you roll through here, that gives me a place to roll on the encounters chart and see what's going on. If there's an encounter, if something happens, something, you know, because she does have random encounter charts in here. So this allows me to right off the bat, when I'm running my game, I can sit here and go, all my different districts have my town. I know the alignment, so the alignment will tell me basically how the government is, about the overall feel of the town. Then I'm able to fill in what each one has, what point of interest it has. And then on my next chart, I'm able to do fill out one so I can know what my tavern is, what's known for, my food and drink. And so all that's right here. So like I said, you really don't need another book to go figure it out. It all has it right here. So then you start and so here I have the town of Ironbridge ready to go, ready to get started. I just need to populate it now with a couple of NPCs. And I'll probably wait on that for tomorrow. And the reason is, or my next video. And the reason is because I want to have an NPC for every single spot. And so when I start to generate NPCs, I'm looking at generating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, I'm looking at generating 11 NPCs. So that's a lot of dice rolling, and I'd rather just save that for tomorrow. But this is where I'm at. So as we got, like the first one was how to build your world, and now we're doing how to build your settlement. So here it is, the town of Ironbridge. You know, I got my sections, I got my map, I have a thing to describe what's going on, and then I have more details on each one of those spots. So again, thanks for the channel. I'm trying to get better at this, I hope, as I go along in this thing. I mean, it's the first time I've ever done something like this. But also, I did have someone ask in a comment about where I got these things. I built this myself just by using the book, and was trying to figure out, okay, here's the tables, and how can I have something that I can have together all in one spot. But the plan for this is to make sure as I go through here, I want to play it a little bit, see how this works, and then have an ability to put it up that people can get a copy of it if they're interested in it. Because I really do think that one of the ways that you can make your solo gaming so much easier is the simplicity of having everything in one place. And so I call this my ShadowDark Adventure Design Kit, after the kits that they have in AD&D. They used to have Dungeon Master kits and stuff. And so that's what I'm doing this for. So I hope you like it and what you're seeing. If you have any questions, just put them down in the comments, and I'll get to them. And again, thanks for following my channel, and look for the next episode, which we discuss NPCs and how to incorporate them into your settlement. So thank you. Have a great night.